What if I told you that 4 recent scientific breakthroughs are completely flipping our understanding of life on its head? From the very real possibility of reversing Alzheimer's to a new definition of consciousness itself, we're about to explore a brand new frontier of discovery.
So let's go on a journey together. It's one that's going to take us from the deepest corners of our own minds to the massive scale of our planet, and yeah, even into the realm of philosophy. And the question we're asking is pretty simple, but it's also huge. What can these new discoveries really tell us about the future of life?
We're going to start inside the human mind, with a disease that for so long has felt like a one-way street with no exit: Alzheimer's. But what if that basic fundamental assumption was just wrong?
Yeah, for more than 100 years, the story of Alzheimer's has been this relentless, inevitable decline. The absolute best medicine could do was maybe tap the brakes a little. But what if that entire story was wrong? New research is suggesting that recovery isn't just a fantasy, that the brain might actually have this hidden ability to heal itself.
So how in the world is that possible? Well, the key player here seems to be a little molecule called NAD+. The easiest way to think of it is like the energy currency for your brain cells. As we get older, we all lose some of it, but in Alzheimer's patients, the levels just plummet. It's like the power grid in the brain starts to fail.
But here's where it gets wild. The results from experiments in mice are, well, they're nothing short of stunning. When scientists went in and restored that NAD+ balance in mice that had advanced Alzheimer's, their brains didn't just stop getting worse, they actually started to repair major damage. The mice got their full cognitive abilities back. This wasn't just slowing the disease down, this was a reversal.
And as the lead author, Dr. Pieper, puts it, the main takeaway here is really a message of hope. Those devastating effects of Alzheimer's, they might not be a permanent life sentence after all.
Okay, so this idea of healing, of reversing damage, it's incredibly powerful, right? But what if we could apply that same kind of thinking not just to our own brains, but to our entire planet? So let's zoom out from the individual for a minute and look at our collective impact on the world.
You know, it turns out one of our most direct, most powerful relationships with the planet is, well, it's what's on our dinner plate. What we choose to eat is having a massive and a lot of times invisible effect on the climate.
Just take a look at the food emissions for an average Canadian. You see that huge slice? That's just beef, a whopping 43% of all food-related emissions. Then you add in the other animal products, and suddenly you're looking at almost 3/4 of the entire total. It's huge.
And this isn't just about a few people eating a lot of burgers. A staggering 90%, that's 9 out of 10, Canadians have diets that are producing emissions way above the level we need to be at to keep global warming in check. At this scale, our collective appetite is it's unsustainable.
But just like the Alzheimer's research, this story isn't all doom and gloom. There's a message of hope and action here too. The research points to 3 really clear, really powerful steps we can all take. Cut down on food waste. Eat less beef, since that has the single biggest impact, and use our choices to basically vote with our forks, signaling that we want and need sustainable options.
So, okay, it's pretty clear our impact on the planet is massive. But that brings up another, maybe even bigger question. How much do we really, truly know about this world that we're changing so drastically?
Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that here in the 21st century, we've pretty much found and cataloged all the life on Earth. But our third discovery shows that the exact opposite is true. We are right now living in a golden age of species discovery.
Seriously, contrary to what you might think, we are not running out of new things to find. In fact, the pace of finding new species is actually accelerating. We're hitting rates never before seen in all of human history.
Get this, every single year, scientists are formally describing over 16,000 new forms of life. And we're not just talking about microbes or tiny little things. This includes thousands of new insects, plants, fungi, and even hundreds of new animals with backbones every year. And to get a sense of the scale here, just look at fish. We've identified about 42,000 species so far. Sounds like a lot, right? But scientists estimate there could be as many as 115,000 species of fish out there. We've barely scratched the surface of the biodiversity swimming around in our own oceans.
So why does all this matter? Well, first off, it's pretty simple. You can't protect a species from going extinct if you don't even know it exists. But it's also incredibly practical. New species are a goldmine for medicine. Think about the hormone from Gila monsters that led to modern weight loss drugs. Or for new technologies inspired by nature, like super strong adhesives based on gecko feet.
Okay, So, we've journeyed from the inner workings of our brain to the health of our planet and to the unbelievable diversity of life it holds. Now, for our final discovery, we're taking the biggest leap of all, from the tangible, physical world to the very nature of the mind itself.
This last one, this discovery takes us right into the heart of the huge debates around artificial intelligence and consciousness, and it challenges the very idea of what a mind even is. For decades, the whole debate has been pretty much stuck between two big ideas. On one side, you have the mind as software camp. They say consciousness is just a really, really complex program, and in theory, you could run it on any hardware. On the other side, you have the mind as biology crew, who say, no way, there's something special, something irreplaceable about the wet, squishy, biological stuff our brains are made of.
But now, a new theory called biological computationalism is offering a third way. It says, yeah, brains compute, they absolutely do, but they are nothing like the digital computers on our desks. In the brain, the hardware and the software are completely inseparable. The brain's physical structure, its energy limits, that's all part of the computation itself.
And this is the core kind of mind-bending concept. The physical stuff of the brain, the substrate, doesn't just run the software of the mind. It is the software. In a biological computer, the process and the physical material are one and the same thing. And so our journey comes full circle, from the real hope of healing our own brains, to understanding our role in healing the planet, to discovering the vast hidden world of life all around us, and finally, to questioning the very nature of what it means to think. It's just so clear that we are living in an incredible new age of discovery.
So I'll leave you with this final thought, a question sparked by that last discovery. If we ever want to build a truly conscious machine, is the real challenge to write a more clever piece of code, or is it to create a completely new kind of physical matter that's capable of thought? It's something to think about.